This is the GTN Show, and this week we'll be dipping into all the action going on in Pectincton at the first ever ITU Multisport World Championship Festival.
Yes, and we also have our first week of Coach's Corner. We've got Comment of the Week, Try, DIY and more.
Yeah, and for those that have watched my ultimate time trial bike setup video and were slightly concerned about the condition of my cassette, well, you'll be very happy to hear that it's had some much needed TLC. What can I say? It was a busy week. Last week we asked you what is your favourite triathlon distance, and the options were sprint, Olympic, middle or full distance.
So the results are in, and fourth place with 16% of your votes was the long distance. Now a little bit more popular. Middle distance came third with 21%. But it's definitely the shorter races that you guys seem to like, because Olympic distance was second with 27%. And the winner, it was sprint distance that got 33% of the votes.
I'm a little bit surprised at that, if I'm going to be honest. And this week, we are really interested to see what is your triathlon experience. And the options are triathlon newbie, or are you a seasoned triathlete, or a self-confessed addict, or are you just a GTN subscriber that is lost on our channel? And to enter that poll, just click on the link above Heather's head, just here. It was really good to see Sofie Goos back racing after a horrific incident last year. She was actually out on a training run when she was attacked and stabbed, leaving her with a damaged kidney.
Sounded horrific, but there's great news because she is back racing, and what a comeback she's made. She finished third in Ironman Copenhagen, so a great way to show that she's fit and healthy again.
Nothing quite as serious now, but a couple of pros have been battling with triathlon-related injuries, and the reigning Ironman 70.3 world champion Holly Lawrence has been out with injury for the last couple of months, but she's now back training with the world champs just around the corner, so it's looking like she'll be okay.
Yeah, well, another Brit who's actually suffered on the lead up to his big race is Will Clark. He's just had a fall and dislocated his acromioclavicular joint. Basically, it's the collarbone meeting the shoulder. His shoulder's a bit bust, is what I'm trying to say. But he didn't dwell on that matter, and he went straight out to Belgium to get it fixed and keeping his mind on race day.
Yeah, so he's got Kona coming up, so he's clearly really focused on being on that start line, and we've actually seen that he's back on the turbo just a couple of days after surgery. Really impressive.
Now, moving away from athletes themselves and onto the races, there's been an announcement from Challenge this week, and their event in Venice next year, it's going to have a new distance that fits somewhere between the middle and the full. Now, it's a 3.8k swim, 133k bike and a 22k run.
That's really cool, actually. I've always thought that the middle and full distance probably weighted itself more towards the cyclists and the runners.
Yeah.
So eventually swimmers get the chance. You've got quite a long swim portion in comparison to the other two, so be interesting to see how that plays out.
Be interesting to see what entries they get as well.
Yeah. We've been asking you to send in pictures of your indoor training setups, or as we like to call them, the pain caves, using the hashtag GTN Pain Cave. So we've got a few pictures here to take a look through.
Well, let's start off with Iron Tash. My training room needs a good tidy up. Hashtag GTN Pain Cave. I think it's pretty tidy.
I actually know Iron Tash. She's called Natasha. She's big on social media, and I do know that she's a big fan of her caps and her sunglasses, which you can see here.
I think she's also quite a big fan of the colour pink. I'm liking the zip wheels.
Definitely.
Well, Paul Fitzpatrick, our next one, who has his girlfriend's P3, his E116 treadmill, gym, etc., with a separate Wi-Fi network for streaming and Zwift, etc.
I really like
comprehensive.
this. Yeah, and he's got his bike next to his treadmill, so you can jump off from doing a bike session onto a run session. I wish I had that set up, to be honest. It's pretty pro.
Not bad. Well, talking of transitions, how's this for T1 from George Jenkins? No other words really needed.
Yeah, don't really need to say much about this. He's probably got the best view out there. It's unbelievable. And don't forget, you can send in more of your indoor training setups using the hashtag GTN Pain Cave on Twitter or via Facebook. Now for comments of the week, and the comment that I wanted to choose came in from Derek Abbott on the How to Run Like a Pro video, and he said that I look similar to Javier Gomez, and thank you very much, Derek, but unfortunately Heather wouldn't allow me to have it.
Sorry, Mark.
So the winner goes to Tall Paul, who said you didn't cover the Ironman shuffle.
No, Tall Paul, we didn't. But if you keep an eye on Kona and the coverage we're going to be bringing you, I might be demonstrating it. I'm hoping not, but no promises on that one. It's been a busy weekend of racing, and it's actually still going on out in Pectincton in Canada because the ITU Multisport World Championship Festival is taking place right now.
Yeah, this is the first year that they've run this multi-sport festival where they combine basically the World Championships of a number of sports. And this weekend the duathletes kicked it off, followed by the para-athletes. And then today we have the cross triathlon, which will then move into the aquathlon, the long distance triathlon, and even the aquabike.
What's the aquabike? Sounds
Don't worry,
interesting.
I had to search this myself. So basically, it takes place on the same day as the long distance triathlon, on the same course. So it's a 3-kilometre swim, followed by a 120-kilometre bike, but no run.
Wow, I think there's quite a few people that would appeal to, especially maybe those who've got running injuries and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's move on to the results. So this weekend, as I said, we had the duathlon, and in the elite men's, we had a breakaway on the bike from Mark Buckingham and Richard Allen from Great Britain. But unfortunately, that break was closed towards the end of the bike, and it was actually Benoit Nicolas from France that took the win.
Well, it was similar in the women's. It was Felicity Sheedy-Ryan who made a breakaway on the bike, and she maintained that to take the win for Australia in the women's event.
As we said, it's been a super busy weekend of racing, so we can't possibly cover all the results, but we are going to pick out a few of the notable ones from the weekend.
Well, we've already mentioned Sofie Goos coming third at IM Copenhagen. That was won by Michelle Vesterby on home soil.
And in the men's race, it was won by Pedro Bastida Andua from Spain.
Well, it was his fellow countryman Clement Alonso McKenna, these names are really challenging us, aren't they, from Spain, who won the pro field in Ironman Kalmar, which is just next door.
Yeah, and I heard that was a really exciting race because it was actually Cameron Worth that led off the bike with quite a good lead, and then Clement actually passed him on the run. Then in Ironman Mont-Tremblant, it was Marino van Hoenacker who took the win in the men's by over 20 minutes, making it his 16th Ironman title.
Well, it wasn't quite such a huge margin of a win, but over on the women's side, it was impressive because Rachel Joyce topped the podium only a year after giving birth, and this actually secured her slot for Kona.
Very impressive. And last, by no means least, Xterra Germany, it was Sam Osborne who took the win in the men's and Brigitte Poor who took the win in the women's. Now for the Caption Competition. You see what I've done there? But firstly, we'll start with the results of last week, and we've had a couple of people playing on our surnames again, the Fool and the Fell. Here's Peter Scott saying, I heard Heather fell, so I thought I would wear this neck protector in case I fall.
Oh,
It's quite good actually, I like it. And then Ruben has said, marking his fell-free zone.
I mean, who wants a fell-free zone? Come on. Well, that wasn't the winner, but the winner goes to Ross Thomas with the caption, Mark, that's not what your coach meant when he said you need to spend more time in your big ring. I like it. Anyway, Ross, remember to send in your details to our Facebook page to make sure you get your cap. And moving on, here's the photo for next week's Caption Competition.
See a bit of a theme going on here. Right, to kick things off, I was thinking, well, Alistair Brownlee told me this was quicker for transitions.
Somehow I think he was probably pulling your leg.
Well, you can certainly do a lot better than me, so send in your captions below for your chance to win a GTN swim cap.
Moving into transition, this week we've asked you to send in some photos of your transition layout, and these are very much a hotly debated section for triathletes quite often. So Jimmy McIntosh, well, he goes with the bright colourful Pokemon towel. Now his theory being it's easy to find his bike when it comes to the transition.
Yeah, I wonder what age he is, mind. And then we have Darren Phillips Cervello racked up in transition. But I'm afraid we're not going to give you a thumbs up because your bike shoes aren't on your bike already. So you are going to lose yourself a few seconds there. Nothing
gets past Mark. Moving on, we have Zolt Gasper. Now, a lovely moody photo, but slightly spoilt by what looks like a less than tidy arrangement.
I think it's just laid out for a nice arty shot. That's and then finally, we have Gavin Woodward, who is very keen. It seems like he is the first person to rack his bike. But he's got a lovely setup there. He's got his bike shoes on, his aero bars on. Yeah, it looks really cool.
So do please keep sending in your transition photos to us on Facebook or on Twitter.
This is Coach's Corner, where you have the opportunity to send in your videos for us to analyse and give you feedback on your technique. And with this being the first week of Coach's Corner, we're just going to answer a couple of questions that have been sent in online. And to kick things off, we have a question here from Atis Verdenhofs. He's noticed that I was breathing every 4 strokes in a video that was posted online recently. He's asked why I'm breathing every 4 strokes and whether he should breathe every 2 strokes, every 3 strokes, or every 4 strokes. And a simple answer is whatever you're comfortable with. If you feel like you need to breathe every 2 strokes, breathe every 2 strokes. What it often gets confused with is bilateral breathing, and this term simply means an ability to be able to breathe to either side of your stroke. So if you want to breathe every 2 strokes and then switch to breathe on the other side, that is bilateral breathing. Don't get this mixed up with trying to breathe every 3 strokes and restricting your breathing. Now on to the next question we have from Darren Gurr. He's having trouble with his breathing and feels like he needs to lift his head out of the water. Feels like he's just getting out of breath quite quickly. What happens here is people panic and they hold their breath and they tense up in their shoulders. What you need to do is, as soon as your head enters the water after taking a breath, just start trickling your breath out. And this just relaxes your shoulders, keeps you nice and comfortable in the water. And when you come around to take your next breath, you're just ready to take a big breath rather than trying to exhale quickly and then inhale. Those are some great questions, so thanks for sending them in. And don't forget, you can also send in your videos on Twitter using the hashtag Coach's Corner, or you can send them in on Facebook. Now moving on to a section that I've been really looking forward to, Try DIY. And first up we've got Chris Milbourne, who's had a bit of a fail. He's clearly gone away for a training camp and forgotten the clamp for his seat post. So it looks like he's just electrical taped his seat post in place. So I really hope he's quite light, because I'm not sure how well that is going to work. But from what he said, it is at the moment. So that's a try DIY.
Good luck to Chris on that one. I wouldn't want to put much weight down through there. But
yeah, not recommended by us.
So Pete Welsh, a slightly safer bit of DIY here. I use a bog standard bum bag as a number belt on an Ironman race distance, so I have all my nutrition and spares handy. Well, that's one way of doing it. I've never seen that before, I have to be honest.
Dominic Booning has sent in a picture where he has made a race number holder on the back of his bike. He's attached it to his brake caliper. He's got a really smart bit of plastic that comes off that he can then wrap the number around and onto that. Really cool.
I do like that. There's nothing worse than after a race when you're trying to scrape that paper off and it just leaves a sticky mark on your bike.
Yeah, and then Paul Parr.
Well, this is pretty impressive. Created a 3D mount for my bike computer because my aero bars took up all the space on the handlebars. Well, it's one ingenious way of going about it, I suppose.
That is true. Try DIY.
It is. Well, if you've got some more Try DIY, do send in your photos with that hashtag Try DIY to our Twitter or Facebook pages.
Coming up on this channel, tomorrow we have how to do a fast tumble turn in the swimming pool.
And on Friday, we have 5 essential swim skills for you to master.
And on Saturday, we have a pro bike with Emma Pallant.
Sunday, it's a treadmill versus outdoors.
The big question, which is better, running on the treadmill or running outdoors? I have my preference, but that doesn't mean it's right for everyone else. And on Monday, we have a body maintenance video.
Tuesday, it's the lamppost interval sessions.
And on Wednesday, we are back here for the GTN Show. We've been really enjoying your ideas and suggestions this last week, so please keep them coming in the comments section below. And to see more videos from us, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking on the globe.
And to watch a video on how to run 5K faster, click down here and it has GTN's very own Dan Lloyd in it.
And to see our 9 essential triathlon skills video, just click below me.